Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mike from JinbuPal. I'm here again with David. David and I are co-founders of JinbuPal, and David has been using the app to start learning Chinese. Now that he's built the whole thing out, he's using it, and it's really exciting to see his progress. This is week 2. If you want to go back and check out week 1, we'll put the link somewhere in the description or up in the top corner, and check that out and go back and watch the first week if you're interested. But yeah, we're going to pick up with David today and see what he's been doing, any struggles that he's having with it. And yeah, that's about it. So, yo, what's up, David?
How's it going? Another week down.
What'd you say?
I said another week down.
Yeah.
I've actually been more diligent with it than I thought I was going to be. I haven't missed a single day, so still kind of sticking with the plan.
Yeah. Awesome. Have there been any days where it's like you get to 10:30 and you're like, oh, I need to go do that?
There have been some of those days, but the cool thing about it is that when those days happen, that's when I kind of do my little sort by stroke count and just try to find some that are easy to grab, because I'm shooting to do about 7 characters a day. And so even if they're kind of easy ones, I feel comfortable with that.
Knock them out. Yeah. And the harder ones, they'll get easier over time when you start recognizing them in the context of some words and stuff. So it's like right now by themselves they'll look pretty tough, but it doesn't really matter if you're going for the low hanging fruit right now, because other ones that right now look pretty tough will be low hanging fruit later.
Yeah, I do kind of feel like a lot of the really frequently used characters have some sort of grammar association with them. And I don't know if I've quite broken out of that group yet, but I feel like I'm coming in contact with less of those now. And I don't know if I think that sometimes makes it a little easier to remember characters.
Yeah.
Did you kind of experience that when you were first learning?
I would say, I would say I still struggle with that, and not from the character standpoint, but sometimes you have words that are, not rarely used, but they're not super commonly used. Like maybe you'll have a conjunction or an introductory clause statement. Can't think of the right word for that, but some of those terms I still can't remember which one's which. Yeah, I can see that's definitely something that's difficult, be it with the characters or with the words. So especially once you crunch through those, it'll get a little easier, and you'll start recognizing those ones a lot in any sort of reading, even if it's just to help you break down a sentence and say, oh, here's the subject, here's the verb, here's the predicate of the sentence. You can kind of use those grammar related characters to help you kind of make that breakdown in your head, and it helps you become more comfortable with them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I was just going to say real quick, because you start seeing I actually had a professor or teacher ask me about this, of saying, if you don't learn everything in words all at once, how do you know which characters together make a word? But you'll start seeing, okay, this is, you'll see a pronoun, and then you'll see common grammar context, and you can figure out based on those grammar related characters that okay, these 2 next characters form a word together, and these 2 also. And then you might start noticing characters that are only used phonetically typically. And so you might see, okay, actually these 3 together actually probably make a word. And you notice patterns like that. So
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Probably happen within a few weeks.
Let me share my screen just so everybody can see what my progress is right now.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Cool. So this week I actually hit 100 characters, at least partially known, which is kind of a cool milestone. I mean, I've
Yeah.
been doing this since the 13th, so I mean, 2 weeks, 100 characters is pretty cool. So this is kind of
That's crazy.
this is progress currently. Okay, let me break it down into just like a regular view. I'll filter it by stuff I know opinion for. So it's a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's felt good. I'm still, every day I have to go back and kind of reinforce what I learned over like probably the prior 2 days.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of times, like the stuff that I learned yesterday, I don't know so well, and
Yeah.
so I've gotten into this rhythm of just I get on. A lot of times, like I mean, you can see these are actually some of the characters I was studying today, but a lot of times it'll be like the characters that I had previously looked at are still there, so I just kind of shuffle them around, check those out, make sure I know those, unpin them, and then just go on to the next group.
Have you been coming to this view and sorting it like this to do your review of the ones you're having trouble remembering, or do you go to the history typically and look at yesterday and then the day before?
I typically go to the history because the stuff that's closest to the top is what I had most recently been doing.
Yeah.
But every now and then when I'm feeling kind of like, okay, it's been a minute since I've looked at some of this stuff, I'll just, I'll take it out of the history view and then I mean, now there's so many that I don't know if I would do this, but like I'll, just shuffle this around and just kind of work my way down the rows and just make sure I know everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's good.
so one thing
Nice.
I wanted to kind of talk about was some of the grammar points. So, or the grammar references. So we recently added this to the platform. Some of the characters, as we were kind of talking about earlier, have some sort of like grammatical reference. And so we've added this link in that takes you to this really good content around what some of these characters mean. But often there are multiple grammar points for different characters. And so I've been kind of just using it as I'll go in and try to find like whatever is the easiest grammar point and then use that to kind of help to reinforce some of my memorization of like what the meaning of that character is.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm assuming that like down the road as I'm doing actual reading, I'll need to know all of these, but like I can, um, you know, I don't necessarily need to know all of these in depth. Like, is that a correct assumption?
I would say so. In a sense, yes. Like looking at this one, for example, here. So if anybody's viewing this right now, this website, this is All Set Learning. It's a grammar wiki that's free, and if whether you're using JinbuPal or not, this is like the go-to source of grammar examples on here, and or just online in general. And they break down grammar points based on they've got this A1, A2, B1, B2. I think there might also be a C1 and C2 for the levels that they have. So at your current level, I mean, it's not going to be super necessary right now for you to go through and read the B1 and B2, but I would probably say that first one, for example, that you clicked on, since it's an A1 or an A2, I would actually go through and like read it, not just like skim it, but read it and make sure you understand how it's used. And for all the A1 and A2 ones, it should be pretty simple. It's not going to be like a complex sort of grammatical structure. So that'll be really helpful for you because you'll start to recognize these patterns when you go and read something. So I think that for most of these, there probably will only be like, say if there's a whole lot of them, maybe only a few of them will be in that A1 and A2 category.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look on the screen here and see if there's any that I think would probably have like way more than that. Scroll up a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go through and find one unless you can think of one that I can think of, which definitely has like a whole bunch of different ones. But I think either way, probably the number that are going to be in those earlier grammar levels are probably pretty low. So I think it'd be worth your time to probably read through those. But I would agree, the higher level ones, like I think I returned back to those like 6 months into studying, just being like, hey, I need to go through and read these because sometimes I'll see a character in a reading and I just won't really recognize it. Yeah. So here's a great example. Those first two are probably worthwhile. But then, kind of skip the others for now, maybe come back later. And then you can start recognizing that you're seeing this character, but not understanding the context it's used in. And then that's when you say, okay, I got to go back and study some more of these.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think that's really helpful. Yeah, I've started to really kind of dig into these, and also I was reading the grammar points earlier on as I was going, but because I can now kind of quickly reference it, I'm starting to go back through some of the older characters that I know and making sure that I'm kind of reinforcing some of that as well.
Yeah. Actually, click back on that and go back over to the wiki. I noticed something that I think is helpful. That so I had never noticed this on this website before, but on the right it says nung in sentences, and then it has juku. And if you go to that website, that's a pretty cool website that you might be interested in, and anybody viewing. But you type a character in and it gives you a whole bunch of example sentences. I found that a lot of them, I don't know what was used to create this, but a lot of the sentences have to do with like interface design of software. It's
Really?
loaded from some textbook. I don't know exactly what it is, but either way, it's a good it's a good
shorten the entries.
Yeah,
That's funny. Yeah, this still fails for our email problem.
Yeah. So it's a very specific subset sometimes, but it's kind of cool to see examples if you just want a quick example real quick.
Yeah, no, this is really cool. I'll have to use this.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, sorry, I think I interrupted something you were about to say.
Oh no, yeah, so I've been going through the grammar stuff a little bit more. I still haven't done a lot of tones, but I think I have in our plan, I have one more week, and then I'm going to start really diving into tones. So, I mean, after this week, I'll be up to, I guess the next time we chat, I'll probably be close to 150, 160 characters.
Yeah, because you're 70, or no, sorry. What, 49 a week?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So one thing about the tones, show me real quick with the this might be cool for people viewing to see. if you go and sort by pinyin, I'm curious to see from what you've learned so far, how many are in different pinyin. So you got one, one, one. There you go. You got those three. Okay, so you'll have a few because those are always good to have, a few that you know in the same pinyin, and that way it'll help you remember, okay, I know this one is a third tone and this one's a second tone.
Yeah, this is a good view to, I mean, like I'll be able to just knock all of these out. I mean, I guess technically I know the tones for this already.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, you know that one.
Well, I guess this is a different tone.
Yeah, the first one's 4, the second's 2.
Here, I can sort it by pinyin and tone. There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is going to be super useful.
Yeah. Yeah, because once you can differentiate them from one another, if you only know one in that pinyin, like I would suggest probably that's a good way to start. When you start doing the tone, start with the ones that you know the most pinyin, or start with the ones with the pinyin that you know the most characters for, and that way, it's just easier to keep them straight in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be cool.
It might be interesting data to just at some point put somewhere on the blog or somewhere. But when I was struggling through those, I did some calculations back when I was doing this, forever ago. And I had it worked out like on average, this many percent are the first tone, second tone, and third tone. Because I was just curious, is the fourth tone just in general more common than the third tone? And I found that there were some like patterns and stuff that helped me to, I don't know, it might just be interesting, or it might be something that can kind of help you to, if you can't quite remember, then you're more likely betting right if you guess the first or the fourth tone rather than the second or the third.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
But anyway, I could see if I could dig that up and put that on the blog at some point. Cool.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I think this was good.
Do you want to pull up your progress so we can see that?
Yeah, we can look at that again. So I'm 100 characters. I'm right around 46% from my Jinbu score.
Oh yeah, you already showed this. Sorry, I'm losing it. Okay, so you had 146.
And yeah, this is my kind of consistent character count per day. These flat spots is when on Sundays I do reading
Okay.
instead of characters.
Nice.
And my tone is pitiful, but eventually it's going to climb up.
Yeah, get there. It's good though that it's tracking, because it's like we were talking about this earlier. You don't want to get this false confidence that you're completely done. Like, it's good to see that bar at the bottom that's at 0. That's like, wow, I really need to go work on those.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Yeah, I'm at 4.9% total.
Yeah.
So lots of room for improvement.
These are definitely an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And the HSK ones there, I'm assuming those 4 are characters that are also words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what that is.
I'm curious, if you go to the words, do you have, how many show up that are more than one character?
So let me.
and then change the number of characters to 2. Yeah. At least 2. Yeah. That's good. Wow. So see,
That's a
like,
pretty good amount.
that's already a ton that you could be learning.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool how quickly that starts coming together. And it's cool that now these are more, they're probably going to be more approachable. And if you start noticing that you're forgetting certain characters, you could, you could go in and filter down based on that character you already know. And maybe there's a few words in here that help you kind of solidify that meaning in your head a little bit more. Because in the long run, that's where the meaning's gonna. It starts out, you're associating this meaning with this particular character, and then, at least for me, I start associating it with the words that I know that it's in. But it's like you got to start somewhere, and so at some point, if you need to, you can kind of convert the way that you start trying to get a concrete idea of a character in your head.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool how quickly it kind of explodes like that. The number of words that you could learn just from those 100 characters.
How far along in the program when do I start learning words? Do you remember when we had that in there? I think it's like 5 or 6 weeks in.
I think it's something like that. It starts off pretty slow, but by the end of it, I think it's about even with characters. Yeah, maybe we can pull it up next week. It's definitely not by next week, and then if we've got that at the ready, we can show that to, maybe we can show that to kind of see, compare your progress right now with that kind of sliding chart that I created in the
Yeah.
guide. Or we can just pull that straight up. That plot, we can just kind of have that up in the background and show how the shifting priorities kind of work. For anybody watching, basically, I put together a table that shows you, you start week 1 and you're focusing on the opinion, you're focusing on pronunciation, understanding tone, reading about grammar, and then learning characters. And as you progress, it starts to be more of your time is spent learning characters, and then you add in more time for reading, and then you add in more time for words. So as you kind of go through the journey, you're going to change how much of your time you're putting on all these different priorities. So it's kind of a cool visual tool to show that that you're going to have to kind of start managing the time that you spend on the different aspects of your Chinese. So yeah, cool. Well, I think unless you got anything else, I think that's pretty good for this week. And yeah, it's pretty awesome to see just in that short amount of time how much progress you've made.
Yeah, it's been great. So looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, cool. Hopefully it's keeping you, I mean, I feel like seeing those results have got to be keeping you really motivated. Like 102 weeks just seems crazy. Like that's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
it's pretty nuts.
It's really legit. Cool.
Awesome, man.
We'll talk later. And yeah, anybody watching, make sure to subscribe to the video. Subscribe to our channel so you can get more videos like this. And head on over to our website, JinbuPal.com, to learn more about the app. You can also find tons of other resources and blog posts to supplement everything that's going to be on this channel. So come back and join us next week, and we'll continue going as we go through David's journey in this. So thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Later.